Hello students, today we are going to study lecture 8, that is user interface design. So in this lecture we are going to study about HCI, the limitations and capabilities of human and computer, then examples of interactions between human and computers, and then user interface design and need for understanding users. Then finally we are going to study about the guidelines and approaches. So these are the concepts we are going to study in this lecture. So first let me start with the definition of human-computer interaction. So HCI involves design, implementation and evaluation of interactive systems in the context of users' task and work. So what is HCI? HCI involves design. So first it has to concentrate on design. Then implementation. So the design must be converted into implementation, means the design must be implemented, and then after implementation it must be evaluated. So it must be evaluated in the context of user's task. So how user will use it, so in that context it has to be evaluated. So this is the definition of HCI. So next we are going to study HCI little detail. So HCI is a multidisciplinary subject. So it means that it doesn't involve only one subject, it needs multidisciplinary subject. Means if you want to design, means if you want to become a HCI designer, then you should have the knowledge in various subjects. So what are the subjects? So the first one is psychology and cognitive science. Psychology is a study of behavior and mind, and cognitive science is also a study of mind and its process. So you must know how human beings behave. So how the person behave and how they are thinking, how they react. So if you want to become a HCI designer, then you must know all these things. So psychology and cognitive science provides knowledge of users' perceptual. So what is the perception of user? When you design a screen, so what is the perception of the user when they see this screen? And apart from that, cognitive and problem solving skills also important for designing a screen. And then next subject is ergonomics. So ergonomics is a study of people behavior in their working environment. So how the people behave in their working environment, means how they sit, how long they can sit. So like that. So this ergonomics is used for the user's physical capabilities. So before designing a HCI, the HCI designer must understand the user's physical capabilities. Then next, sociology. So sociology is a study of society and social relationship. So sociology contributes an understanding of the wider context of the user's interaction. So wider context of user interaction. So bulk of people, how they are interacting. So understanding that particular thing is called as sociology. So HCI also includes sociology. So you must have some knowledge regarding the society, social relationship, and then social interactions. Then only you can design HCI. And then HCI involves computer science and engineering. So naturally this technology is very much important. So computer science knowledge in computer science, technical knowledge is very much important for designing HCI. So it includes the skills to build the necessary technology. And then business. So whatever may be the screen or whatever may be the HCI designed, that must be able to, the HCI designer must be able to market it. So you must have, if you want to become a HCI designer, you must have some knowledge in business. And then graphics design. So it is an implementation of graphics. So definitely the HCI designer must have knowledge in graphics design, so that they can produce an effective interface presentation. And then finally technical writing. So technical writing means after the HCI is designed, they have to produce the user manuals. So for preparing the user manuals, technical writing is a very important skill. So HCI is not depending on only one subject, it is a multidisciplinary subject. And then next we are going to see about some capacities and the limitations of human being and computer. So what are the capacities of human being and what are the capacities of computer? We are going to see capacities as well as limitation. So capacities means, first we are going to talk about the perceptual system. So perceptual system means what the human being can do, what the senses, what are the different senses. Sight means see, okay, the human being can see, and then hearing, and then touch, taste and smell. So these are the various senses possessed by human being. For example, visual processing system means whatever the human being see, that should be processed by the brain. So if you see something, you have to understand, after you see something, you will understand that. So how you will understand? Because whatever you see, that will be processed by your brain. So this is called as visual processing system. And then next, motor skills. So the movement time. So how much time you are taking to move from one place to another place. And another thing, reaction time. So if you get something, if you hear something or if you see something, how you will react. So that is called as reaction time. And then speed and accuracy. So what is the speed and what is the accuracy? So if you want to complete some task, how much fast you are doing, so that is speed. And then how correctly you are doing, that is accuracy. And then human memory. So human memory is a short-term memory because we can't remember all the things for a long time. Hence it is called as short-term memory. Then next we are going to see the capacities and limitations of computers. So what are the capacities and limitations for computers? Input device, output device, memory and then processing. So input device, so different input device we have, and each and every input device are having its own advantages and limitations. So keyboard you can type, but so that is the capacity. Using keyboard you can enter keys or alphabets, numbers, special characters as an input, but you cannot use keyboard as a pointing device. So like that, each each and every input devices are having capacities and limitations. Similarly, output devices, memory, processing, everything. So different input devices, keyboard, positioning and pointing device, and then handwriting recognition, speech recognition, etc. All these are input devices. And then output devices, computer screens, 3D displays, virtual reality, and then printing. So all these are output devices. And then memory and processing is having its own capacity and limitation. Then next we are going to see about the different styles of HCI. So totally there are 5 different styles of HCI is available. So that is direct manipulation, menu selection, and then form fill-in, then command language and natural language. So these are the 5 different styles of HCI. So now we will see in detail. So first, direct manipulation. So direct manipulation, in direct manipulation, designers create a visual representation. So here the interaction with the objects on the screen, so the interaction will be done directly on the screen instead of typing something. So for example, you are watching some picture, you are seeing some picture in your mobile. So you want to zoom in or zoom out the picture. So how you can do it? You can do with your fingertips. So this is an example of direct manipulation. And apart from that, suppose you want to upload some file in Google Drive. So what you can do? You can drag and drop. So the file picture is available. Similarly, the folder is also available as a picture. Just you can click on the file and then drag it to the folder. So all these are examples of direct manipulation. So here you will have the visual representation. The user have the visual representation and just the user can drag and drop. So interact with these objects. So this is called as direct manipulation. So here keyboard and mouse replaced with cursor motion devices. So for example, touch screen means you can use your fingers. Sometimes you can use mouse also, drag and drop. So you need not use keyboard, you can use cursor motion devices. And then the first application for this style was VisiCalc, and it was developed in the year 1978. Then the next style is menu selection. So here I think you all aware of menus, because see, every time when you use every software you will be using menus. So in the case of menus, we have list of items. So list of items are available and the user has to select from the list of items. So here this is an example of file menu in PowerPoint. So when you click on file menu, you will have these submenus. So info, new, open, like that we will be having different submenus. So these are list of items. And then so from these list you have to select whatever you want. And then the next style is form fill-in. So it is also called as fill in the blanks. So when you can go for this style, when you want to fill your data. So it is used when data entry is required. So users see a display. So here, see here, there is an example of this form fill-in. So this is just a creation of new account in Gmail. So here in this you have to enter, suppose you want to create a new Gmail account, then you have to enter your personal details. So you can see here what are the details required: first name and then last name, then username, and then your password. Like that, different details you have to enter. So here the users see a display of related fields and associated labels. So here every field must be associated with the label. So when you see the field and the associated label, then as a user you can know the permissible values, means what are the values allowed. So for example, so here first name. So first name means as a user, if you see first name, then you can able to understand you have to enter only alphabets. Similarly, phone number means as a user you know that you have to enter only numbers. So like that, so if the user see the associated labels, then the user know the permissible values. And then next one will be command language. So command language means here everything will be done by commands. So there is an example, command prompt. So you may know command prompt in your computer. So just if you type CMD Alt R and then window key and then R run, and then if you type CMD or command, then your command prompt will open. So the same style is called as command language. So here in command language everything has to be done with the help of the commands. So for example, see here, this is a command prompt. So here you can see CD. CD stands for change directory. So CD data. So data means what it will do. If I give CD data, then it will open, it will go inside the folder data. So CD change directory and the directory name is data. So it will go inside data. And then dir. Dir is used to list. So dir/a. So it will list all the files and folders inside this folder. And then similarly copy. So like that, different commands are there. So the user has to know all the commands and the user can use it. The user should use all the commands. So the user, so the definition of command language or the explanation of command language is, users learn the syntax and can often express complex possibilities rapidly. So the user learns syntax and they can do the complex task in a fast manner. But here the error rates are high, because if you forget some command instead of CD, maybe you get confusion or maybe you make a spelling mistake, then it will result in error. So error rates are high. So if you forget some commands, if the user forgets some commands, or if the user makes some spelling mistakes, then all these things will result in an error. So error rates are high. That is the reason training is necessary. The user has to be trained first. And then the next style. The next style is natural languages. So in natural languages, the computers responds to natural language sentences or phrases engages. So here you need not memorize any command. The computer will understand the natural language. So for example, English. The computer can understand English and react according to that. So that is called as natural languages. So just I can say an example. Your car audio system. So some advanced cars will be having the audio systems with the help of natural language processing as well as voice recognition. So if it is added with voice recognition, then just you can say the command so that it will recognize your voice as well as it will process the natural language and it will act accordingly. Here in HCI, you have to type. Instead of saying, you have to type it. But how you will type? You will type the natural language sentences or phrases. But this is still being developed. So this particular HCI is still under development. So next we will see about the advantages and disadvantages of each style. So first, direct manipulation. So the advantages of direct manipulation is, first, visually represents task concepts. So as I told you, see, files, folders, everything will be visually represented. So this is the first and main advantage of direct manipulation. And then it allows easy learning. So because everything is displayed visually, you need not spend time to learn. Okay, easily you can learn. And then allows easy retention, means you will not forget, you will retain. So it allows easy retention. So you will retain all the concepts because everything will be displayed as an icon or as a small picture. So when you see this, you can remember. So allow you easy retention. And then allow errors to be avoided. So here just drag and drop. You are not going to memorize, the user is not going to memorize any command, or the user need not type anything. So that is the reason errors to be avoided. Okay, it allows errors to be avoided. And then it encourages exploration. Exploration means display. So everything will be explored. So everything will be displayed. So all the files, folders, pictures, everything will be explored. And then offers high subjective satisfaction. So here this type of style will support high satisfaction. So these are the advantages. And then next we are going to see about the disadvantages. So disadvantage, actually as a HCI designer, it may be hard to program. So for the user it is easier, but for the designer it is hard. It may be hard to program because the HCI designer has to give all the pictures and then icons like that. So it may be hard to program. And then it may require graphics, display and pointing devices. So as it is a graphical symbols, it is an usage or it is an application of graphical symbols, it may require graphics, display and pointing devices. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of direct manipulation. Next we are going to see about the advantages and disadvantages of menu selection. So the advantage is it shortens the learning time. So you need not spend, as a user, you need not spend more time to learn. And also it reduces keystrokes because the user need not type anything, just the user has to select. So it will reduce the keystrokes. And then it structures decision making. All choices are presented. So all the choices are displayed. So menus and then sub menus, like that all the choices are presented. So decision making is structured. And then it permits use of dialogue management tools. So it allows dialogue management tools. And then it allows easy support or error handling. So it is easier, and error handling is also very simple. So there will be no error because when you type something then you may make a mistake. But as a user they need not type anything, just they have to select. So easy support or error handling. So these are the advantages. Then next we are going to see about the disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages? The first thing is it presents danger of many menus. So it overwhelms the user. So in my previous example also I showed you, within file we have list of options, so many options are available. So it will overwhelm the user, and then it may slow the frequent users, because the frequent users, see, if they use commands, then easily, fastly they can do. But here anyway they have to select the menu and then submenu and then submenu, like that they have to select. So it may slow down the frequent users, and it consumes the screen space. Then it requires rapid display rates. So first you will get one screen, then when you click on some menu, then the screen has to be changed immediately, and the new screen with all these sub menus has to be displayed. So rapid display rate, so the display has to be changed in a rapid manner. So these are the disadvantages. Then next we will see about form fill-in. So the advantage of form fill-in is it will simplify data entry. So data entry is very easy. So if you use form fill-in HCI, then it simplifies the data entry. And then apart from this advantage, it has some more. So it requires modest training. Okay, so little training is enough. And then it gives convenient assistance. So because every field is associated with a label, so it is giving convenient assistance. And then the disadvantage is it consumes screen space. So this is the disadvantage for form fill-in. And then next, command language. So the advantage of command language is it is flexible, and then it appeals to the power user. So as I told you in menu selection itself, so if the power user, so what do you mean by power user? Power user means frequent user. So if they know all the commands, then easily they can do it. So that is the reason it appeals to the power user. So it supports a lot for the power user, and then supports user initiative. So the user can take initiatives to memorize the commands. So it supports user initiative, and then allows convenient creation and user defined macros. So macro means a single instruction to do a task. So just it allows a convenient creation user defined macro. So the user can define their own macros. Means if they want to perform a task, they can make it with the help of a single instruction. So these are the advantages of command language. And then what is the disadvantage? It has poor error handling. So as I told you before, it has poor error handling. So if you make a mistake, then if you make a small mistake, then also it will be a mistake. So it will be displayed. So that is no error handling. So it has very poor error handling. And then it requires substantial training and memorization. So each and every user has to be trained before using this. And also the user has to memorize the commands. So that's the reason it requires substantial training and memorization. So these are the disadvantages. And then the advantages and disadvantages of natural language. So the advantage of natural language is relieves burden of learning syntax for human being. So what happened? The human being need not memorize any command or need not learn any syntax. So it relieves the burden of learning syntax for human being. But the same point will be coming as a disadvantage for computer, because computer, see, the human being will give the instruction in natural language, and the computer has to interpret it correctly and find out the correct meaning and execute it. So this adds more burden to the computer. So that is the reason the same point is given as an advantage for human being and disadvantage for computer. So it relieves burden of learning syntax for computer. So the computer has to learn many things, and the computer can be capable of interpreting all the natural language phrases used by the human being, and it may require more keystrokes. So means if the human being want to type the natural language sentences or phrases, then the sentences will be very long. When compared to command language, the commands are very short, but the sentence is very long, so it requires more keystroke. So that's all about the advantages and disadvantages of all the styles. Then next we are going to see about the human diversity. So how the human being may differ in their nature and capabilities. So the diversity means, the first point will be physical abilities and physical workplaces. So the ability of each and every person is different. And then cognitive and perceptual ability. So the thinking, the reaction, everything will be different. So it will vary from one person to another person. And then personality also differs from person to person. And then cultural and international diversity. So each and every country will be having its own culture. So international diversity, so cultural and international diversity, so its own culture. So each and every country will be having its own culture. So human beings differ in culture. And then users with disabilities. So some users may be having some disabilities. And then elderly users. So elderly users are also having some limitations. So this is about human diversity. Then next we are going to see about the diversity of users. So user profile. So how the users will be varying based on computers. So first type of users are called as novice users or first time users. So this first time users know very little. So they assumed to know little of the task. And these users will be having anxiety. So anxiety means nervousness, actually tensed. So these users are tensed because first time they are using the computers. So this stops, inhibit means stops. So this stops learning. So this will stop learning. So they can't learn more because they are tensed. And then for these users, as a designer, you have to include instructions, dialog box and online help. So all these things can be included for the first time users. Then the next type of users are knowledgeable intermittent users. So they have the broad knowledge of interface concepts, but they have difficulty in retraining the structure of menus. So they have broad knowledge, but they can't retrain the structure of menus. So for them, for them we have to protect against the user partially forgetting sequence of users. So for them, what we have to, as a designer, the HCI designer, what the HCI designer has to do, the HCI designer has to protect against the user partially forgetting. So they forget some actions, so they have to protect that. And then the last type is expert frequent users. So as we have seen before, power users or super users. So power users, so they are expert, they know everything in the computer. So they see to get their work done quickly. So they want to finish their work in a fast manner. So that is the reason they demand for rapid response time. Means they don't want to wait for a long time. They need the response time in a rapid manner, and then they like to create macros. So already we have seen, so using a single instruction they want to do a task. So they like to create macro or other abbreviated form to reduce the number of steps. They don't want to do so many steps. They want to finish their action in a fast manner. And then see, they can use shortcuts. So shortcuts through menus and other accelerators are requirements. So they require shortcuts and other accelerators. So that's all about the diversity of users. So that's all about this lecture.